has been speculation again about your future. Is that flattering or an inconvenience to you?
I think any time a manager's team is doing well, and the team is doing well, there's always sometimes people talk you up and all the rest of it, and maybe some speculation from that. The flip side of that as a manager, as you well know, is you're normally batting off questions about your job when things aren't going well. So for us, we're just concentrating and trying to maintain our strong start, and it is just a start, but we're really enjoying what we're doing, really enjoying what we're getting from the players, and we have got enough to bring it on with at our own side. We're only talking about Hearts, trying to stay top of the league, taking the good from my last minute derby winner, and now concentrating on the next challenge. And even now, a lot of people are asking me about the Celtic game in a couple of weeks' time, and I get the reasons for that, but our game on Saturday needs our full attention, and that's all we are concentrating on, is a tough game at Kilmarnock.
Is it difficult to fling that speculation aside, or in any way at all?
No, like I say, there's no conversations here other than we're talking about trying to maintain a strong start. There's a lot of positives going on at the club at the minute. We're quite aware of how quickly that can change, you know, and when you work for a club the size of Hearts, if you get a bad result. So we're just trying to make sure we keep those bad afternoons to a minimum, and we concentrate on Saturday. And Kilmarnock away is always a tough game for any team. You know, having managed there, I know how difficult it can be for an opposing team. And the fact is, they've started well. They've got good players. Stuart started well in his tenure there. And I know there's obviously going to be a lot of chat about me going back and stuff like that, but the game itself is needing our full attention.
How do you feel about going back?
Do you know what, I'm good about it. It was always going to happen. I was disappointed I never got a chance to say goodbye properly. And the only thing that I get the emotion of it all and how it quickly turned towards the back end of the season, but I can look myself in the mirror and say I did everything right by Kilmarnock. The only thing I'd said to them that if Hearts made the approach, that I wanted to speak to Hearts, and that was the only thing that probably didn't sit well with a lot of people at Kilmarnock. But the main people at the club, you know, from Billy, Phyllis, and Greg McEwen, they were all fully aware. But when I look back now, I made it clear, I made it known through my agent to Hearts, and Kilmarnock, that I wasn't going to speak to Hearts until Kilmarnock was safe, and I feel good about that. I felt that it was the right thing to do. I wanted no distractions, and we made sure once we made Kilmarnock safe, I was hoping then that maybe there could be a natural opportunity to speak to Hearts. I took the game against Motherwell under it was Billy that had asked me to take the team, and I went along with it. I was the manager of Kilmarnock, but I thought for obvious reasons it was always going to be a bit difficult once it became clear really that I was keen to speak to Hearts. So that's all in the past. That was the back end of it, and people always remember the end, you know. But I had some brilliant times at Kilmarnock. I love my players, love working with them with different squads, but the squad that we left, there's still a lot of them there now. My staff, who were still, a lot of them still there now as well. And my family were fully invested in the club. 3.5 years there, a promotion, 4 spot, European adventures. The majority it was good times. So I've only good feelings towards Kilmarnock, the people there. I hope they do well, genuinely. Sometimes managers will sit and say, you wish your last team's only good. And it's not always been that way for me as a manager. Sometimes I take a bit of pleasure in the clubs struggling a wee bit, but I only want Kilmarnock to do well, and I'm sure they will.
How do you feel about this next set of games, Derek, in terms of what you need to do to maintain this challenge, what you have at the moment?
Well, for me, we just need to concentrate on improved performances. You know, the performance against Hibs was fine. You know, the winner comes late on. Sometimes that's the way the games play. I thought we were the team that were really kind of trying to win the game and try to put with more penalty box entries and the like. But you'd have to say the performance wasn't as good as we would like it to be. So we've just really got to concentrate on improving. We will need to improve if we're going to try and maintain levels where we're at. And I've said this often enough, the next little block of games, we try to work international break. The next block of games, there's a lot of challenges there, as there is every week in the Premier League. but I've been delighted with the motivation of the team, the consistency of the team, the approach for the team, the players, you know, and I think it's important that we continue to have the fight with ourselves, because if we continue to improve and have that fight with ourselves to improve, then, and results are a big part of that, but performance and how we train is big as well, then I'm confident we've got the potential to keep winning games and hopefully keep ourselves up the top end of the table. But that's a big challenge for us, and each game will test that.
Do you set a mini target within these 5 games?
Well, I think privately we do with myself and the staff, and we speak to the players about where we want to be. I would love to come through the first round of games roughly where we are, if we could be. It's so difficult to maintain that the kind of form that we're on at the minute, but if we treat each game in isolation, have the right approach to it, the right mindset to it, we know we're capable of winning games, but we're also capable of losing games in the Premier League, and we've got to make sure that we try and keep them to a minimum. Saturday's game will be a tough game. Like every game in the Premier League throws up different challenges. Some games are more difficult to win than others, and Kilmarnock away is traditionally a tough game for most teams, and I think it's only us and Celtic that have won more than 2 games in the first part of the season, and that shows you how competitive the Premier League is. I think even more so this season. I think that every team is capable of picking up points against each other, and there's sometimes a lot of just small margins between winning, drawing and losing, and it's important we try and keep ourselves the right side of it.
The squad's similar?
So Aju and Frankie will hopefully be fit for next week. Aju definitely will. Frankie's got a chance. But this game, we just feel with the length of time Aju has been out, the fact that we're going down to play in Astro, all these things are not really beneficial to a player that's been out a period of time with the injury he's had. So we're just going to try and take the benefit of that and consolidate his work, just bulk his workload up this week. Hopefully get him back full training with us next week. Frankie is coming along nicely. He'll be touch and go for Celtic. We're certainly hoping he can get there. Borchgravink's back training. So it leaves Ryan Fulton, Finlay Pollock, and one other maybe. No, that's it. I think that's us.
As you must be desperate to get back into it.
I'm desperate to get him back as well. Well, I think these. I think for any new player when they come to a club, they just want to play their part and prove their worth. And I think obviously with the noise round about him coming and the big signing and stuff, he feels that. So it's been frustrating for him, kind of kicking his heels but fortunately for him, he's been able to pick his work up. He's been working hard with the physios. He's been feels always got a wee bit more spring in his step and a smile that he's out the treatment room and doing a bit of work. So it's been good to get him back with the boots on. But hopefully there's still plenty of the season left for him to go and have his impact as there is for a few of the players, but particularly him.
The international break, a chance obviously for those type of players to get a bit of work. I suppose the other side is when you're playing so well and the momentum's there, you kind of want to keep playing, don't you? That sort of curtailed it a wee bit, but you still feel there's enough to keep going through it. Yeah,
it's such as the nature. I think the first 3-4 months of the season, there were only 7 games in, then you play that in 1 month coming up, so it's a bit stop-start, but it's the same for everyone. You take the good with the bad. I think the good part of it is like key players like Kent and Azure, they've not missed many games. But again, when you're winning games and you try to get into that rhythm, it's hard for teams to find rhythm, but it's important that that's why we've had bounce games, we try to replicate 11v11s, we try to make sure the training's intense enough that it kind of replicates a match. So it's been alright so far, but hopefully now we can get into a rhythm before the next set of international games.
That's what you said, Kajota and Kabori giving you food for thought as well ahead of this one?
Yep, Kajota is getting better in terms of being more integrated and more kind of aware of what's expected in terms of the Scottish game, the intensity. I'm so pleased from the fact that he managed to have that impact positively at the end. It was a brilliant cross. I know Craig Halkett's still got a lot to do to score, but it was such a nicely weighted cross in the dying embers of the game, You know, and I think he should feel good. But again, going back to what we said there, Ronnie, that's like every new player wants to contribute, feels though they belong and try to prove their worth. And I think that'll do him no harm at all. And Big Landry coming back from the international duty, first Hearts player to score an international hat-trick. So a wee round of applause for the players of the day. I think it's good for him, the fact that he's obviously had to be jostling to get in the squad, never mind in the team. But, you know, watching his hat-trick, you know, he took his goals brilliantly, he's come back. And that's a good thing when boys go away international. Sometimes your boys go away and it's a wee bit kind of a negative trip for them, maybe not getting involved and a lot hanging about. But he's come obviously bouncing back in, he should feel good about himself. And I do think, in answer to your question, that these lads are all kind of making that, asking the question a wee bit more and long may it continue, because we want everybody to have that impact, and I want as many good players and players in good form to choose for.
Talk about the fine margins, and you've had 3 last-minute runners as well. When you know so much about the team that you're playing against as well, you have to kind of use all that information you've got, even about the pitch and about the team as well.
I think tactically, very few managers, very few games are decided tactically. Normally, depending on the levels, but a lot of the time games are decided on mistakes, individual brilliance, refereeing decisions. Sometimes it can be so finely balanced. The fact that we have 3 last-minute winners pleases me, but I would rather feel more comfortable going into games and not having to leave it a chance, and it is. But it does demonstrate good work and good team spirit, good fitness, good options, all that stuff. But, you know, I think those 3 kind of winners, I mean, nearly hit the post against Motherwell to win a game against them. So we never know when we're beat, we keep going, and long may that continue, because, you know, teams that can win late on in games can make a difference between a successful season and maybe a not so successful season.
How did you find in the past, going back to your old club? Is it something you get, when you get more experience, you get better at dealing with it, or is it always something, different scenarios that are different?
I think you probably just take it for what it is. Certainly for myself, and, you know, whether it's back to St Johnstone, back to Aberdeen, obviously now going back to Kilmarnock, you know, I feel as though I've left every one of those clubs in a better place. I had brilliant working relationships with all those clubs, so and you still have good relationships with the key people within it, all your staff and stuff like that. So it's nice to see a lot of familiar faces, but ultimately, Kilmarnock will be desperate to win the game and maintain a strong start from their point of view, and I'm desperate to win the game as well. So it's there's that competitive nature, and that's the way it's got to be. But for me, it becomes maybe the only game, maybe that first game back to Pittodrie was quite a big thing after being 8 years. It felt more than just a game and going back into the club. But for me, for this time around, you know, it was 3.5 good years and 3.5 enjoyable years at Kilmarnock. But they move on, I move on, and my job's only here on Hearts and try to concentrate on what we're trying to do here.
It's another manager of the month, obviously. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Just as an overview, how much are you enjoying this at the moment? You know, as you mentioned before, this was the one that you wanted to speak to. There was obviously risks, as there always are. Yeah. But is it what you thought it would be? And, you know, when it is going well, do you learn to enjoy it?
I enjoyed Saturday, against Hibs. Enjoyed how the stadium was. Enjoyed, it was such a big moment for us, a big moment for the supporters, obviously winning a derby. I know how important it is for a Hearts manager to win these games. And, you know, it was brilliant to see the support, so noisy, so connected with the team. It was a special moment. So the club itself hasn't surprised me. I knew exactly what I was going into. It's a demanding club, but as managers, you want to work for demanding clubs. You want to work for ambitious clubs. With that can be challenging alongside it. But at the minute, we've got to try and enjoy it at the minute. And get into the international break. We've done that now twice on the back of really positive results. So you can maybe enjoy it a wee bit more than you would do when you've got a game coming up. So, but obviously for the last period of time, it's just been concentrating on this game and going back to, you know, Kilmarnock themselves are in good form. And this Premier League can catch you out if you're not at it. It can, that belt in the mouth is just always round the corner, and we need to try and avoid that at all costs.